History remembers many kingdoms, but none carry the same air of mystery, grandeur, and divinity as ancient Egypt. For over 3,000 years, the banks of the Nile gave birth to a civilization so enduring, so majestic, that its influence still echoes across time. But Egypt was not just about pyramids, mummies, or golden treasures. At its core was something more profound: the belief that kings were not merely rulers, but gods on earth. This is the story of pharaohs and their divine rule, a story where politics, religion, and eternity were woven into one. The Nile, gift of the gods. Every great civilization begins with geography, and Egypt's story begins with the Nile River. The Greek historian Herodotus once said, "Egypt is the gift of the Nile." He was right. The Nile flooded predictably each year, depositing fertile black soil along its banks. In a desert land where survival was harsh, this cycle of life and renewal was nothing short of divine. For the Egyptians, it wasn't just a river. It was a lifeline, a cosmic symbol of order and proof that the gods favored them. From this fertile land, farming flourished, villages grew into towns, and towns into cities. But what held this civilization together was not just water and soil. It was the unshakable belief that their rulers were not ordinary men, but living gods chosen to maintain Ma'at, the sacred balance of the universe. The Pharaoh, god in human form. The Egyptians didn't call their rulers pharaohs at first. The term pharaoh comes from per-aa, meaning great house, originally referring to the royal palace. Over time, it became synonymous with the king himself. But to the Egyptian people, a pharaoh was not just a man, he was a divine being. The pharaoh was believed to be the son of the sun god Ra, a bridge between gods and mortals, responsible for ensuring the Nile's floods, the sun's rising, and the prosperity of the kingdom. He was expected to embody Ma'at, truth, balance, and justice. Without him, chaos would consume Egypt. This belief gave pharaohs unparalleled power. They weren't questioned, they weren't challenged. To defy a pharaoh was to defy the gods themselves. And so, Egyptian kings ruled not by the sword alone, but by divine mandate. The Old Kingdom, builders of eternity. Egypt's first great age, the Old Kingdom, 2686 to 181 BCE, was the age of the pyramid builders. Pharaohs like Djoser, Sneferu, Khufu, and Khafre commissioned monuments so vast, they still baffle modern engineers. The Step Pyramid of Djoser, built by his architect Imhotep, was the first monumental stone structure in history. Later, Sneferu perfected pyramid design, and Khufu crowned the age with the Great Pyramid of Giza, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But these pyramids were not just tombs. They were eternal stairways to the heavens, cosmic machines designed to ensure that the pharaoh would live forever among the gods. In building them, pharaohs demonstrated their divine role, not just rulers of Egypt, but guardians of eternity, divine kingship and cosmic order. Why did the Egyptians accept the absolute power of their kings? The answer lies in religion. The world, to the Egyptians, was a delicate balance between Ma'at, order, and Isfet, chaos. The pharaoh was the living embodiment of Ma'at. His job was not only to govern people but to maintain cosmic harmony. Every temple built, every ritual performed, every law enforced was a reflection of this divine duty. When the Nile flooded well, it was because the pharaoh pleased the gods. When famine struck, it was because Ma'at had been disturbed. In this way, politics and religion fused into one inseparable truth. The Middle Kingdom, Pharaoh as shepherd. The Middle Kingdom, 2055-1650 BCE, reshaped the idea of kingship. After the chaos of civil war and foreign invasions, Egypt needed stability. Pharaohs like Mentuhotep II and Senusret III presented themselves not only as gods but also as shepherds of their people. Art and literature shifted in tone. Pharaohs were still divine, but they were also portrayed as protectors, warriors, and caretakers. The people began to see their rulers not just as distant gods, but as leaders with a duty to defend Egypt from chaos, both human and natural. This shift reflected the evolution of divine kingship. The pharaoh was still cosmic, but he was now also practical, a ruler who built canals, protected borders, and ensured justice. Pharaohs and the afterlife. No discussion of Egyptian kingship is complete without the afterlife. To the Egyptians, death was not the end, but the beginning of eternity. The pharaoh, upon dying, transformed into Osiris, god of the dead, while his successor became Horus, the falcon god of kingship. This eternal cycle ensured divine continuity. Pharaohs were buried with treasures, texts, and spells to guide them through the dangerous journey of the underworld. The Book of the Dead was not just a religious text. It was a manual for immortality. And again, this wasn't just about the king. By ensuring the pharaoh's successful journey to eternity, the Egyptians believed they too could share in the blessings of the afterlife. The pharaoh's divinity guaranteed not only his immortality, but also theirs. The New Kingdom. Age of Glory. If the Old Kingdom was the age of pyramids and the Middle Kingdom the age of renewal, then the New Kingdom, 1550–1070 BCE, was the golden age of empire. Pharaohs like Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, Akhenaten, Tutankhamun, and Ramesses II expanded Egypt's wealth, power, and prestige. They built massive temples at Karnak, Luxor, and Abu Simbel, monuments that declared Egypt's gods and kings as supreme over all. Ramesses II, known as Ramesses the Great, even declared himself a god in life, inscribing his name across Egypt with unmatched pride. He fought battles, signed the world's first known peace treaty, and filled temples with his image as a god among men. Akhenaten, the heretic pharaoh, but not all pharaohs followed tradition. One of the most controversial rulers was Akhenaten, who rejected Egypt's many gods and worshipped only Aten, the sun disk. He moved the capital, changed art styles, and presented himself as the sole prophet of Aten. For the first time, divine kingship took a radical turn. Akhenaten claimed direct connection to the god, cutting out Egypt's powerful priesthood. This was revolutionary, but also dangerous. After his death, the old gods returned. His name was erased and his legacy buried. Akhenaten's reign reveals just how fragile the balance of divine rule could be. A pharaoh could reshape religion itself, but only at great cost. Pharaohs as symbols of immortality. What truly set Egyptian kingship apart was its timelessness. Pharaohs did not just rule, they endured. Their monuments, temples, and tombs were designed to last forever. Their names were inscribed in stone, repeated in rituals, and carried through history. Even today, thousands of years later, we speak the names of Khufu, Hatshepsut, Tutankhamun, and Ramesses. To the Egyptians, this was the ultimate victory. To be remembered was to live forever. Legacy of divine rule. The pharaoh's divine rule left an indelible mark on human history. They showed the world that kingship could be more than political power. It could be sacred. They taught us that leadership was not just about governance, but about meaning, about embodying values larger than life. Though Egypt eventually fell to foreign empires, Assyrians, Persians, Greeks, and Romans, the idea of the divine ruler persisted. From emperors to medieval kings, echoes of the pharaoh's godlike authority continued to shape how rulers justified their power. Closing ancient Egypt's greatness was not just in its pyramids, temples, or treasures. It was in its vision of kingship, a vision where rulers embodied the divine, where politics and faith merged into eternity, and where a people believed their king was the very key to cosmic order. That is the legacy of ancient Egypt and the pharaohs. Divine rule, a story not just of gods and kings, but of how humanity itself sought to bridge the gap between earth and heaven.